Are we rolling? Alright, we're rolling. Welcome to the Stockboy Gaming channel, where today it's the top 10 funnest HSW cars in GTA Online. These are some of the best cars in the entire game, and don't worry, the Prius, the Picador, those cars aren't going to be involved in this one. It's just the absolute best that HAL has to offer. It took me a while to put this video together, but I did want to make the best GTA video you've ever seen, and that might sound like a lofty goal, but here you go. You're about to see 50 individual clips of 11 vehicles, all edited, crammed into a 9-minute video. If you ask me, it doesn't get a whole lot better than that. So let's jump right in. We're going to check out the Sentinel XS first at number 11. You might say, well, this is a top 10 video, Stockboy. What are you doing? Well, I wanted to get this guy in here because it is fun, and all these cars are a lot of fun. I feel like it deserves some recognition. It doesn't have a lot of customization. Its biggest knock, though, is that it's just too slow. This car is slower than any of the other cars in this update, and it just is lacking a lot of stuff that it should have had, so it can't quite crack the top 10. Moving into our top 10, though, we've got the newest member of the House Special Works family, the Brio RA, and this thing is quite a bit of fun. It's an absolute handful at my test track and pretty much anywhere you go, but it does have some big strengths. Number one, its acceleration is really solid. It's got a mid 10-second quarter mile, so Dom Toretto would be happy, and its size means that it's easy to weave in and out of traffic, which is pretty solid. But it understeers so much, and that problem just kills this car for me. And on to the Astin Custom, and this is the only car so far in the HSW class that has 4 doors, so if you want to play with some friends, this is a pretty good option for you. And this thing, I'll be honest, is great overall. Whether you're racing on dirt, you're on the street, or if you're taking it to a track, it does really well in just about every situation. It's really hard to rate it this low at number 9, but there are so many fun cars in this class, and just overall it's not quite as much fun as the next couple you'll see. Now this is where you might get mad at me. This is the first maybe controversial pick on here. At number 8, the weaponized Ignis. And don't leave, I will explain, because this car is incredible. Its handling is absolutely just awesome. It's amazing in so many ways, and it even absolutely kills it at my test track. It's the fastest of all these cars on my technical circuit. So why is it all the way down in number 8? Well, it's awesome to drive. It's so much fun, but I always find myself putting it back in my garage for one reason: that stupid gun. But we're on to the 7th spot with the Banshee, and this car is so much fun. And I like to call it the sleeper in this update because it is based on such an old car, and a lot of people wanted it to be based on the 900R. I actually like it this way. I think it's a great addition to the game, and it's so much fun to see them bring some new life into some of these older cars. The biggest thing that I love about it is its performance and how well it handles all of my testing, how close it is to the S95. You'll have to check out those performance videos if you're interested. But in the end, the lack of customization hurts it in these rankings. We've got the Hakuchou Drag at number 6, and if this was based on performance, it would be number 1. But this is based on fun, and I've got a couple of reasons that it's down here. It might seem low for such a great vehicle. It's fast. In a straight line, it's finally fast. The original one drove me crazy because it only did about a 10-second quarter mile, but as you'll see here, this one gets to the quarter mile in 8 seconds, which is fantastic. The biggest problem I have with it is that it handles too well. That big extended swing arm shouldn't allow it to corner like this, but it does anyway, and it just makes it a little unrealistic. Moving on to number 5, we've got the S95. It's one of the more popular cars in the game, and it's got great customization. Absolutely phenomenal what you can do with this thing. It's also just so much fun to drive fast, whether you're in free mode, in a race, whatever. It's fun. It oversteers a little bit. It can be kind of difficult to drive, but to me that just adds to the fun factor. I love cars that have personality, that give you a bit of a challenge. The S95 is definitely that. Like I said before, the Banshee and S95 are really similar performance-wise, but as you see the back end sliding out there, the S95 is just a little bit harder to drive. That makes it a little bit more fun to me, and that bumps it up 2 spots on the list. If you don't have it, you should definitely check it out. Moving on to number 4 with the Coil Cyclone II, and this electric power plant just makes it so fast and better than anything else when it comes to acceleration in this game. It's unbelievable how quick this thing accelerates, Here's an example. On the left you have the original coil Cyclone, which as of last year was the fastest quarter-mile car in the game. Look at the Cyclone II on the right, just absolutely destroy that poor thing. It does a quarter mile in 8.0 seconds, and that helps it a ton on the circuit too. It's hard to get used to, but if you can get used to braking early, making sure that you slow that thing down, you can actually do some damage on a circuit. I was surprised because the acceleration is so intense. It's hard to manage, it's hard to get used to, but it's so good. As much fun as that Cyclone II is, the Devastate beats it out for the number 3 spot for the funnest supercar from How Special Works, so far at least. It sounds great, it's got a ton of power, and this thing is just a speed demon. If that sounds like fun to you, it's a great car, and I'm really surprised, I was really surprised at just how good it is. But before we move on, I've learned that in order to be taken seriously as a car guy in GTA, you have to be able to drive in a straight line in an airport. So that's what we're doing here. But just kidding, moving on, this is more my speed. We're going back to real racing. It has a long wheelbase and you can feel it. It's not quite as fast as my test track as some of these other supercars are, but it's still just so consistent, so easy to drive, and so much fun. It's a great option. Keeping in the theme of supercars, number 2 is the HSW Turismo Classic. Now it's a sports classic in this game, but the F40 in real life is an absolute supercar. If not one of the best or the best supercars of all time. The F40 is just legendary, and the fact that we can add How Special Works upgrades to it is awesome. You can see it slides around a little bit. It can be a little difficult to drive. It keeps you on your toes, but overall, its manners are great and it handles my test track really well, which makes me like it even more. Whether you want to dress it up like an original F40, or if you want to go like I have now with more of a How Special Works crazy approach, the customization is passable for as old as this car is in the game. It looks good enough, and oh man, you can get yourself in a little bit of trouble as you see there. But I call this the perfect car. What could possibly beat a perfect car? Well, this is the Arbiter GT, and just listen to this thing. We're setting off car alarm, and we're doing burnouts, wheelies, all of it. This car is way too much fun, and the power slides. It's just unreal how good this car is to drive. It's a complete handful at my test track, but that just makes me love it. You're not going to win a lot of races in the car, but you're going to have a big smile on your face while you're losing. It does have really good acceleration, and the wheelie works really well with it. But the best thing about the car is it's just all smoke and skid marks everywhere you go, and it's always going to be fun. So there you go, the final rankings and the price with the How Special Works upgrade. Now, don't forget, you also have to add about $550,000 for performance upgrades and more for your visual upgrades. But in general, the Turismo Classic, to me, is the best value. It's a phenomenal car. And look at the weaponized Ignis. It is so expensive. Thank you so much for joining today. If you're not already and you're still here, please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. Let me know what your top 3 are too. What are your favorite HSW cars? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Thanks so much for joining, and I hope to see you next time.